Rank 1, Trainee. The training ground smells of wet clay and gunpowder. A 50-year-old instructor, thin, with a name that is surely not his real one, places a cardboard silhouette 20 meters away and says, 3 to the body. Get to work. It's November in Virginia, cold and drizzly, with shell casings from the previous group underfoot. 9,000 acres of forest behind barbed wire in York County, between Williamsburg and the York River. On the map, it's a military experimental base. In reality, it's a CIA training center where case officers are trained. A case officer is someone who works abroad under diplomatic cover and recruits foreigners willing to pass on secret information. It's the fall of '78, you're 24, and you're here for the next 6 months. There are 32 people in the group, each with a fake name and biography. A legend that you have to live by so you don't get confused, even if you're woken up in the middle of the night. 11 won't make it to graduation. You are taught the recruitment cycle, 6 steps from notice to terminate, which can take 6 months. Notice a person with access to the information you need. Assess whether they are vulnerable. Build a relationship so that they consider you a friend. Lead them to the moment when they are ready to help, and only then ask. You are taught about hiding places, how to place a container with microfilm in an agreed location, under a stone, in a crack in the wall, in a drain pipe. How to signal that the hiding place has been loaded, a chalk mark on a lamppost. Another mark on another lamppost. It has been taken. Dry cleaning is a route that forces surveillance to reveal itself. 3 left turns in a row, stopping at a shop window, glancing at your reflection. If the same face flashes by 3 times, you are being followed. They teach you to withstand interrogation. 2 days without sleep, bright lights, shouting in your face, and you don't break character. The guy in the next bunk, Tim, a former Marine, strong and resilient, broke down after 14 hours and gave his real name. He didn't get kicked out, but there's a note in his file that no one will ever remove. They teach you to shoot not from scratch, but in a situation where there are civilians around and you have to make a decision in a split second. They teach you to drive fast, pick locks, and photograph documents with a camera that fits in the palm of your hand. By April 1979, 21 remained out of 32. You are 12th in the ranking. Rank 2, Officer. Ankara, summer of 1981. In the diplomatic passport. Second Secretary of the Embassy. An office on the 3rd floor, a desk, a typewriter, a safe with 3 folders. From the window, a concrete fence and a parking lot. The air conditioner can't cope, July, 40 degrees. Soviet direction. You know the faces of all 18 employees of the Soviet embassy. You know who is KGB, who is GRU, who is an ordinary diplomat. You know their roots. Who has lunch at Köfteci Hussein on Bayındır Sokak. Who buys cigarettes at Güven Park, who plays tennis on Tuesdays at the French embassy. At receptions, you drink with them and speak Russian, bookish, with an accent, but functional. You notice who doesn't rush to their official car after the reception, who lingers on the balcony and looks at the city as if they don't want to go home. 7 months later, the result. A military attaché, 46 years old, 2 children in Moscow, his wife did not come. He shows up at the Sheraton bar on Wednesdays, alone, with cognac and a Turkish newspaper. You sit down next to him. The first dinner is nothing serious. The second, he talks about Afghanistan, he was there before Ankara, and something in him is broken. On the 5th, you cautiously ask if he would like to share what he knows, a week of silence. Then he calls you directly and says yes. You lead him for a year and a half. Meetings in Botanic Park, on a bench by the east entrance, early in the morning when the park is empty. He passes on documents, Soviet contingent command diagrams, codes, names. You photocopy them and send them by diplomatic mail. He has a 2-syllable code name that you don't say out loud. If he is exposed, he will be shot. In 1983, you are returned to Langley and promoted. The Soviet Directorate's Counterintelligence Division is a unit that protects American agents from Soviet intelligence services. You get access to the names of everyone working for America within the KGB and GRU, generals, colonels, cryptographers, engineers. files with photos, cryptonyms, recruitment dates. Each one is handled by a case officer like you, and each one is risking their life. Rank 3, Traitor. 84, your wife leaves you. She's also from the agency, an analyst you met in Langley. 3 years of business trips and silence have taken their toll. The divorce is quiet but expensive. Alimony, lawyer, division of property. $38,000 in debt. In February 1985, you remarry. A Colombian woman whom you met on a previous assignment. A case officer's salary is calculated according to the federal scale, grades, a unified pay system for all civilian employees of the U.S. government. At your 13th grade, that comes out to about $50,000 a year. For one person in Washington, that's enough. For 2 people with $38,000 in debt, it's barely enough. April, Wednesday, lunch break. You leave Langley, get in your car, and drive to Georgetown. You have 2 bourbons at a bar on the waterfront. Then you drive to the Soviet Embassy on 16th Street. The guards know you. You come here for work. Contact with Soviet diplomats is part of your job. You are shown into an office. You place an envelope with a note on the table, a proposal for cooperation, and 2 names. People you know to be moles. They work for the KGB, although Langley lists them as American agents. You give up those you don't care about to prove that you are genuine. A week later, you receive $50,000 in cash. You deposit it into your bank account. Not a front account, but your own. Rank 4, Double Agent. This is where the real game begins. You don't just sell secrets. You become a channel of communication through which both sides try to manipulate each other, and you're in the middle. The KGB wants names from you, which Soviet citizens are working for America. The CIA wants you to continue going to the Soviet embassy and recruiting their diplomats. You do both. The KGB gets information from you about American operations. Real, but in doses. You choose what to give. What is already outdated, what the KGB will soon find out without you, what can be presented as valuable, even though its real value is small. In return, the KGB gives you something for the CIA, names, addresses, plans, which you bring to your superiors as the result of your work with Soviet contacts. Langley considers you one of the best officers on the Soviet beat, because you get information that others cannot. They don't know that Moscow is feeding them this information. You are sitting on 2 chairs, and each chair is electric. If the KGB decides that you are giving too little or leading them by the nose, they will turn you in, and you will spend the rest of your life in a federal prison. If the CIA discovers that your brilliant results are disinformation from Moscow, the end will be the same. You're balancing, and that balance requires precision. What to give the KGB so they continue to believe you, but not so valuable that it causes real damage. What to bring to Langley so you get praised, but not so critical that someone starts checking the source. But the calculation doesn't hold up. In the summer of 1985, the KGB raises the stakes. Outdated data and minor names are not enough for them. They want everything. A complete list of American agents in the Soviet Union. You understand what everything means. It means that the people whose names you give will be arrested and shot. You can refuse, and then the KGB will turn you over to the CIA, and you'll get life in prison. Or you can give them what they want. You give it to them. Several meetings over 2 months. The names of a GRU general who had been passing on data on missile programs for 20 years. A colonel from the London Residency, an engineer from the Aviation Design Bureau who has been passing on fighter jet blueprints for 14 years. Dozens of people. By autumn, the KGB begins to take them away. Summons to Moscow, arrest, Lefortovo, tribunal. At Langley, you only see coded telegrams. The asset did not make contact, compromised, removed from the registry. One line after another. By winter, the CIA had lost almost its entire network of agents in the Soviet Union. At least 10 people were shot, the rest were in camps or had disappeared. No one believes in a mole. They look for a technical leak, a cracked code, wiretapping. At first, they suspect another former officer who was caught communicating with the Soviets earlier, but when agents he couldn't have known about fail, it becomes clear that the source is different. You sit in meetings where failures are discussed. They listen to you. You're an expert on Soviet counterintelligence. And Moscow has paid you over $1 million in 8 months. That's 20 times your annual salary. And the price is so high because you've put the result of America's decades of work and hundreds of millions of dollars into a few envelopes. Rank 5, Big Fish. 86, Rome. A mid-level position, the same security clearance, and you're far from Langley, where they've started digging. An apartment that a diplomat of your rank cannot afford. Your wife buys clothes in boutiques, you dine in restaurants, your monthly phone bill is $5,000. Your colleagues see this. You explain it away with your wife's family money. In Rome, you continue to play both sides. The KGB contacts you through a diplomat at the Soviet embassy and through an officer who flies in from Moscow. You pass on American operational plans for Europe, partly real, partly doctored, so that Moscow will make decisions that are favorable to Washington. In return, you receive information about Soviet operations in Italy, which you pass on to the head of the residency as your own intelligence. You are valued, you are promoted in the rankings, but you drink more than you did in Ankara. At a reception at the embassy, you get drunk and get into a loud argument with a Cuban diplomat. The station chief calls you in the morning and writes a report. The report goes into your personal file. There are no consequences, but this is the second warning after the money. And so far, no one is trying to connect the dots. When Langley sets up a mole-hunting team, Moscow throws them a false lead. Their officer accidentally informs the CIA that the source of the leak works at a secret communications station in Warrenton, Virginia. 90 station employees investigate for almost a year, 10 suspects, 0 results. You've been paid nearly $2 million over 4 years. The routine polygraph test is a mandatory procedure every 5 years for all employees with security clearance. Sensors on your fingers, a belt across your chest, questions from a list. Have you passed on classified information to representatives of a foreign country? No. The polygraph doesn't measure lies, but physiological stress, pulse, perspiration, breathing. You don't experience stress when you lie. Rank 6, Suspect. 89th, Washington. You are assigned to the analytical group of the Counterintelligence Center, a unit that searches for those who work against America from within. You buy a house in Arlington for $500,000 in cash and drive a Jaguar. Your annual salary is about $60,000. The money from the KGB is in your bank account, not a front account, but your real one. It sounds crazy, but you know something that outsiders don't. In the 80s, the CIA doesn't check its employees' finances. There is no account monitoring system, no comparison of income and expenses, no audit. You're on the inside. You have clearance and a clean record, and that's enough. The system is built on trust in its own people, and you take advantage of that, until someone starts counting. 2 women from counterintelligence, analysts, desk workers, start a job that no one else has taken on. All the failures of the agency since 1985 are laid out in a table. The date the asset was lost, who had access to their name when the last contact was made. They are looking for one person who knew everyone who disappeared. At the same time, someone is comparing the dates of your visits to the Soviet embassy with the dates of large deposits into your bank account. By 1992, you notice changes. A colleague who used to invite you to lunch stops doing so. Your boss becomes more distant in his correspondence. At an operational planning meeting, you are not included in the working subgroup that you have been part of for the last 3 years. Nothing specific, but you have spent 15 years teaching people to notice precisely such shifts. By this time, the Soviet Union had collapsed, and the KGB had been renamed the SVR, the Foreign Intelligence Service. The people on the other side had changed, but the methods had not. Caches in Washington parks, chalk marks on mailboxes, envelopes with money under a rock in an agreed-upon place. Rank 7, Failure. In May 1993, the FBI opens a case. You don't know. For 10 months, people you don't notice are following you, because 12 years of impunity have dulled everything you were taught. You stopped doing dry cleaning on the way to meetings, stopped checking to see if you were being followed. They conduct external surveillance, from the ground, sometimes from a light aircraft. They tap your phone. They search your house while you're away and find documents you shouldn't have. In October, an observer notes how, as you drive past the blue mailbox on the corner of 37th and E Street in Northwest Washington, you draw a line on it with chalk, a signal to the Russian side that you are ready for the meeting. They take photos. In November, you fly to Bogota, and they know why. They record that you and a Russian embassy employee are in the same restaurant at the same time. By January 1994, they have enough information. You are planning a business trip to Moscow, and this cannot be allowed to happen. If you fly there, you will not return. The warrant is signed, February 21st, a federal holiday, morning. You leave your house, get into your Jaguar, start the engine, and drive onto Randolph Street. Half a block from your house, 2 cars block the road, one in front and one behind, people in FBI jackets. They pull you out of the car, put you face down on the hood, and handcuff you. You don't resist. You've been preparing for this moment for 12 years, and at the same time, you believed it would never come. They put you in the back seat, and you look out the window at your $500,000 house, at the Jaguar in the middle of the road, at the street where your neighbors are still asleep, and you realize that none of the people you worked for know your real name.